Welcome back to J&J Dynasty. There you go. As you probably see, 2023 rookie pre-NFL tankings was supposed to be rankings. I did a typo. Wasn't seeing it very well in the lettering. Hey, it's on me. But do I care? Not really. We can call it tankings because these are my bad picks, right? So we're going to go through and look at Fanpro's rookies, how they are ranked currently, and we're going to try and basically see if we can sift through and figure out who should be drafted where. So after each slide, I'm going to make a pick on a guy, and hopefully you'll be entertained. Hopefully I'll be a little bit surprising, but both guys here are in the first slide, so maybe that's a hint, maybe it's a not. All right, let's get into it. Let's get on to it. Yeah, how about that? So the very first group, I did 1 through 9, okay guys, and these are obviously the rankings. Again, if you look at the top, it's PPR. We're talking one quarterback dynasty rankings. All right, that from the Data Force League, expert consensus rankings with Fanpros. Obviously, I mean the first 3 are probably chalk. 1, 2, 3. That's how they're going to go off the board. That's why I broke it down the way I did, to give a little bit more context to this first slide, right? Because if we have, break it down to 5 and 5, I mean, you're looking at Kendra Miller and Devon A-Chain. So my personal opinion on these guys, and you can use this 2 different ways. You can use my personal opinions, but you can also come back and visit this after the NFL draft when it comes time to do your draft, because this is what these guys were rated. So if you are sitting there at 2-4, 2-5, something in that like that, and these guys are sitting there, or if you're looking at 1-8, 1-9, and after the landing spot, their values are going to fluctuate widely. I was having a discussion with one of my fantasy friends just yesterday, and we were talking, and we basically came to the same conclusion. I mean, once you hit, pick 1-6 to maybe pick 26, you can say for every one of those guys, basically, in one quarterback league, the quarterbacks, the wide receivers, the tight ends, and of course these running backs, that it's gonna ultimately depend on their landing spot, because there is so very little in between each one of these guys to really make a difference. So with that all being said, let's get into this a little bit. I mean, obviously everybody loves Bijan, right? And then you have Jahmyr Gibbs, who was on the thumbnail, right, of the tankings, but no, we're talking rankings, right? Tankings, not rankings, right? So then you have Zach Charbonnet. Personally, I do not like him. I think he's David Montgomery. Javonte Williams, right? Maybe, and I've said this in several videos, but this is where I think he's going to be, because he doesn't have the breakaway speed. He's large. He takes a lot of hits, and he's probably going to get beat down via all of the abuse and punishment that he takes, right? So the next 2 guys, Kendra Miller and Devon A-Chain. For me, I have Miller above A-Chain. I think A-Chain is going to be a kick returner kind of guy, a gadget back. Maybe use him like Wan'Dale Robinson. I don't think that he's as good as a receiver as everybody thinks that he is. I see a lot of body catches in his film. When I looked at him, obviously you cannot deny the speed, right? So he's going to be a big playmaker. When he goes off, he's going to go off, right? So maybe he turns into, they just make him a wide receiver and turn him into Tyreek Hill. I mean, because I think he's got a more similar body style and frame like that. He's kind of a body catcher like him, but if he can get out and use his speed, I think that'd be a great way to use him. But I digress. I'm not a football expert. So let's get down to the next tier. I mean, we got Tyjae Spears and Zach Evans. Of those 2, I would take Zach Evans all day. I mean, they're very similar. Once again, just like the other 2 guys, right? Tyjae Spears is slow, Zach Evans is fast. Tyjae Spears can catch, Zach Evans can't. I know a lot of people talk or think about Zach Evans and think that maybe he can become a receiver, kind of like Walker in Seattle. He was, just supposed to be the best runner in the draft and not a receiver, and he's proven that he can catch a little bit. But I watched some game tape on Zach Evans, and balls just hit him right in the chest. I mean, he's not a fluid catcher of the ball. He struggles. He fights it. He can't catch the ball, but he fights catching the ball. So even with all that, I mean, Tajay Spears is older. Evans was the 5-star recruit. If I'm going to gamble on either one of those two guys, I'm going Zach Evans probably. All right. So let's get down now to a little bit more controversial portion with the 8-9. Israel and Roshan. I like Roshan as a nice backup back, a nice fit piece for maybe short yardage. I mean, I would have loved to see maybe Detroit not sign David Montgomery and draft Roshan in the 4th round, right? The Detroit Lions. If you had Roshan for the short yards and to spell Swift, take the punishment between the 20s, and then give Swift all the glory, that would have been perfect. It would have been perfect for fantasy football. I think it would have been perfect just for DeAndre Swift's health. I think it would have been perfect for being able to get Roshan Johnson into the game. Now, Israel, we'll just call him Israel, right? I can't speak the way the hell it is. So I think my comp with him is ETN. I don't know if he is as strong as ETN. I mean, he can catch a little bit. I don't know if he's as fluid as a pass catcher, but I do think that he can catch the ball. So with that all being said, obviously I think Roshan is a timeshare at best type of running back, and therefore I would go with Israel just because I think he's got the long playability. I mean, the speed, the size, everything. 2 years down the road, he could be a bell cow. So kind of broke down everybody here. You know, obviously I don't think we need to go for Bichon and Gibbs, Jahmyr Gibbs, because, you know, and Charbonnet, they're pretty much chalk. Boom, everybody's got them in that order. Everybody knows about them. Charbonnet, I just don't think he's as good of a prospect as everybody thinks he is. So really, so that's page 1, and my pick, if I was having a pick in here, and obviously if I had 1 or 2, I'd be picking 1 or 2, because that's what it is. If I had the 3rd overall pick, or picking the 3rd running back off the board, I kind of went through who I was going to choose. I'm going to make a little bit of a stretch on this one, and I am, yes, going to go with Israel. I just like the upside. I like the speed. As I said, I like the ETN comp. I think that he could wind up being somebody like ETN if he could get behind an offensive line. I saw mock draft putting him in Philadelphia. If he gets a hole and he can hit it, he's going to be gone. So it's just that simple, and he can also play in the pass game. So that's where we have that. And then so let's get into the double digits of the running backs, right? And this is, I think, is where the meat and potatoes guys are. I don't think you can go wrong with any one of these guys if you're going to wind up drafting them. Now, you may get a timeshare, you may get a bell cow. We don't know this the way it sits. I mean, and again, like I said, if you go between 1-6 and pick 26, depending on your draft spot, that's what's going to be the difference for any of these guys. So with that being said, I mean, Sean Tucker, again, he's kind of like the ETN comp, right? A little bit smaller, very fast, can catch the ball, can house it. There's nothing to not like about that. Tank Bigsby, I like him for a couple of real small reasons, right? He's not fast. He's not overly supersized like he's supposed to be with the name of Tank, right? But he can catch the ball. With catching the ball and with his size that he does have, he is still fairly elusive. So with that being said, like the David Montgomery type and those Deontay Foreman, these big bruising backs. I mean, he's not that big, but he's still slippery. He doesn't have the high-end speed, but he still breaks off chunk plays. I think that everybody's discounting his hands. He's not going to have any problems of receiving the ball in the NFL. So with all that being said, I do like Tank Bigsby. But again, it depends on his landing spot. Chase Brown, what more can you ask for? He's got the BMI, he's got the speed, he's got the production. He can catch the ball. He had a terrible day at the Senior Bowl, but he is a little bit older prospect. So those are two things that are on the downside. So maybe if you do wind up getting him, if he winds up being in the end of the 2nd round, you could get a bell cow out of it. But you also could get just a timeshare guy. So these guys are also similar. Same thing with Evan Hull. Evan Hull and David Montgomery are just a very good comp to me. All these, he's got the size, he's got, He's not fast, but he's kind of elusive, but he can catch the ball. I mean, at worst, Evan Hall's going to be a third down running back. He's basically the guy that everybody was talking about Kenny McIntosh being, right? So he can do the pass pro. He can catch the ball. He can be on the field third downs. You know he's going to be a good special teams player, so he's going to be on the field. So if you're thinking about taking a guy and you want some reward, a guy to be able to start, he's going to be the kind of guy that you're going to be able to do that. And Dwayne McBride, small school guy, big guy again. All the same things. Same thing said over and over and over and over again in this video. If he gets draft capital, he could wind up being 110, 112, right? Depending on his landing spot. So, with all that being said, I mean, I really like these are the guys here. Probably at least 3 of these guys are guys who I'm going to be trying to grab in drafts, depending on where my situation is. I've got a couple rebuilding teams, and I've got 3 and 4 second-round picks, and I'm hoping to get 2, maybe 3 of these guys to roll the dice, the buckshot approach, right? See what hits you. The more BBs you send out there, the more you're going to hit, right? So I mean, I think this is the meat and potatoes, slide of the running back draft. So if I was going to go out on a limb and go after one of these guys, it's going to be Tank. So I just think that worst case scenario for him, and he's a 3-down, or he's a goal line type back. He's a timeshare type back. He can come in on third down. He may be, the 1B to a 1A, but that could still be good production. I mean, you could probably put him, maybe think of Gus Edwards for him, where he's going to be able to catch the ball maybe better than the other guy in the backfield. In that case, it would be Dobbins. But that's the guy that I would lean to. Second one on this slide would be probably Sean, right? Tucker. So just the home run ability. I love home run ability. So that's kind of where I'm going with those guys. We're going to get to a little bit of pain here now. I mean, we're 15 running backs deep in the draft. We're still talking about, good guys. So that means that this is a fabulously deep draft. That's just running back. So you might be able to pick a couple of those guys up in the third round, early third. So let's get into these 15 through 19 guys. There are a couple of guys who I liked. I talked about McIntosh, Mohammed Ibrahim. In Minnesota, he played here forever for the Gophers. I love him as a Gopher. I don't see him as a pro. I mean, he's going to be on somebody's team. He's going to be a special teams guy. He's going to be probably a third or fourth, back on the as far as depth. Eric Gray, they talked about him catching. I've seen him being a high prospect in Devy leagues for several years. He was so bad he had to transfer out to another situation. It's just I don't see Eric Gray doing much. Chris Rodriguez, I mean, yeah, I don't even know much about him. All I've seen is that he's supposed to be fast and things like that. Really haven't watched much on him because there's so many running backs in this class I like. So that's that. The one guy on here that is very interesting is Deuce Vaughn. Deuce is, in my opinion, he's going to get drafted. He's going to play in the NFL. He's probably going to be a very good kick returner, very good punt returner type of guy. So he's going to be on the field almost every Sunday, right? Probably as a kick specialist. He can catch the ball, so he can line up as a slot receiver, so they can use him as a gadget tool on Sundays. And being that he's going to be active, if somebody gets hurt, if somebody gets nicked up, he can get playing time there. So he is a guy who will be, valuable, very valuable in the NFL. Maybe not so much as value in the NFL or for fantasy, right? So I apologize about that. So with that being said, I mean, there's not much here as far as upside for guys. So basically, if you've got a guy in this range, my recommendation is slide up in the draft and pick somebody like Evan Hall, who you have a shot at least being a timeshare or a possible, outlier bell cow kind of guy. So I like Deuce Vaughn. I just don't think that he's going to have fantasy relevance. So that's kind of where I'm going with that. So was a little bit sneaky on that one, and so there we go. Let's get into the last slide, and Fantasy Pros went all the way down to pick 27 for running backs. That's 27 running backs deep. I mean, I'm not even going to spend much time on this one. You got Peoples, Evans, Lou Nichols. You know, these guys are okay. You can see their standard deviation and stuff like that. I didn't really go through that, the high and the low and stuff like that, the first two categories throughout the slides. And maybe you want to go back and take a look at those. But the thing with these guys is I don't think you're going to see these guys do anything. I mean, I don't think that there's a Pacheco on this list. There is one guy, however, that I do like that hasn't been in any of the lists yet, and we're talking about Kendall Milton. Well, he's not on the list, but the guy that I do like, and I do think that he could have some fantasy value is, what's his name here again? I'm forgetting it all the time. Keaton Mitchell. Keaton Mitchell, right? Have to take a look at that real quickly. But Keaton Mitchell, I always want to say call him Kendry Mitchell, but it's not. It's Keaton Mitchell. He's a little bit undersized from the pictures. He looks like he's been putting on weight. He's only 5'8", $180 wet, right? But if he puts on another 5 or 10 pounds, if he can get up to 195 with the speed he has, he is very elusive. All right, so I mean, I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm not going to say that he's this guy, but as you can see, look at my face, right? I'm an old ass motherfucker. He reminds me of Barry Sanders. The most I've seen of Barry Sanders in a guy in a long time, right? He's extremely elusive. Gets the open field, he's gone. He makes guys miss in the open field, miss behind the line, and he'll just go boom. Now, I mean, he's not in a Power 5 conference or anything like that, but the 4.3 speed is 4.3 speed. He's got a fabulous jump cut, just like Barry. I mean, with the speed, again, like Deuce Vaughn, he's probably going to be a kick returner, probably be a punt returner. Hey, that's how Barry Sanders started out. So, like Barry Sanders at Oklahoma State, he started off as a kick returner, right? In the NFL, he's going to probably be starting off as a kick returner like Deuce Vaughn. He's going to get the time to be on the field. Very explosive. He can catch the ball. He's very fast. Again, exactly the same thing as like I was talking about with Deuce Vaughn, except with, it reminds me of Barry Sanders. So in the 5th round, if I have 5th round picks or even late 4th round picks, this is a guy that I am going to be going after just because I think that it's going to be incredibly fun to watch him. You know, the other Mitchell, right, that came out 2 years playing for San Francisco, I mean, maybe he's just a fast speed guy like this. If he winds up getting on a zone rush team like, say, Miami, he could usurp Mostert and Jeff Wilson and be the guy. The only thing is that in that situation, Tua doesn't check down the backs very often. So that's kind of what the list is, and hopefully I can edit out, you know, the cough. If you don't hear the cough, I was able to do it because I'm trying some new software editing. So let's see how that winds up working out. But yeah, keep Mitchell quiet, right? So take him for yourself and draft in leagues later. All right, that's going to do it for this video. And so maybe some rookie tankings, maybe some rankings. I mean, hopefully this can help you out when you look back after the landing spots and see guys who you might want to like. This is, again, is Fantasy Pros. This is actually recording the Sunday before the NFL draft. So with that being said, like I said, come back later and then take a look at it and see if that's something that helps you with your fantasy. If you're stuck end of the first, end of the second, and you want a running back, maybe this list pre-draft helps you get rid of all of the coach speak and all the other stuff, you know, going into your draft in June, July, maybe August, right? With all that being said, let's end the video there, and hope this all helps you. Until next time, take care.